quit my job 7 months after getting married without telling my husband. Extremely crazy, I know. I had been single for 8 years before I met him, so I was literally so used to making decisions by myself. Obviously, when you're married, you're supposed to make decisions together, but I grew up in a household where my mom made her own choices, did whatever she wanted to do. That's a terrible
way. Your husband had to suffer for that.
To be in a relationship, and definitely terrible to be in a marriage. So the day I quit my job, I was sitting at my computer and my husband was in his office and he came out to make himself some lunch. I turned to him and said, I just quit my job. Mind you, he quit his job to go freelance 2 months prior, and we had no idea what we were going to do. I think a couple of weeks later, we landed a really big paying job as a freelance marketing agency, and that really worked out for us for 6 months. That company was paying us $10,000 to $15,000 a month, and so me quitting my job wasn't that crazy, but I still didn't know we would land that corporation.
Y'all would have been better if you would have kept working though for the time period.
Say this all to say that if you grew up in a household where your dad and your mom were extremely independent and they made decisions without telling each other, it's most likely that you will probably get into your marriage thinking the same thing. Was my husband upset? Extremely. He was extremely upset and very nervous because he carries the weight of our financial burden. We spent, I think, 3 years trying to get our finances right. We went into a ton of debt, but we still had like a ton of savings. My husband was a financial broker and he quit that job to run our business, the marketing agency. A month later, I met a photographer and started working with her, doing like freelance creative direction, and I just got connections through doing that. So I would make money, but not a lot of money. I would make like $500 every time I worked like odd jobs. My husband eventually got another job, like full-time job as a designer, while we were also running our marketing agency on the side. So my husband actually let me keep all the money I would make doing like creative direction and set designs. He would let me keep all that money, and he started paying all the bills, and he stopped saving. He stopped spending money on himself. He would literally give me all our extra money and then pay all the bills.
He cared about you way too much.
I loved it at first, and then I started to realize that it was affecting our relationship, because our relationship thrives when we both have income, because we're always spoiling each other. So it got to a point where I was like, oh my God, this man spends all his money on me and the bills. And now I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, I want to have a baby and I want to buy a house, and we just didn't have the finances for it. So I started working for my parents, doing odd jobs, making a couple of $1,000s every now and again, but it just was not enough. You know this economy. You see this economy. Anyway, so I came on here just to say that don't quit your job right into your marriage. It's the worst thing you could ever do unless your husband is making 100,000 plus. Don't do it. But
even at 100,000 plus, I still wouldn't suggest it, because it's just not smart depending on what time period in life you in. You just don't know what can happen. I just wouldn't suggest doing it at any time unless y'all both have a plan and you actually talk to your husband and not do it behind his back like you did.
Recently found out that I landed a full-time marketing job at a really big corporation, and I'm training to be their VP of marketing. So eventually I'll be making 6 figures. And I'm so excited. And I just want you to know, like, I didn't look like I was struggling, but I was literally struggling. I learned how to resource my clothes. I learned how to shop on the...
All right, we're about to go ahead and pause that, because I don't want to know how she was able to manage money. I'm just so shocked at the fact that she can have such a smile on her face while telling this story. Smile on her face about doing work behind her husband's back, being treated like a child, putting the family in jeopardy because you just wanted to just quit your job. She didn't really say the exact reason why, but she just wanted to quit without letting him know. You put your family in jeopardy, and you got a smile on your face. This is why I feel like a lot of women are like big kids. They are like big kids, man. And this just proves that they live life on easy mode. And I'm not saying all women, but majority live life on easy mode. Overwhelming majority live life on easy mode, because there's always going to be a guy behind the scenes that's wanting to make sure his family is taken care of, or just a woman of his dreams is taken care of, or just a woman that he just kind of is interested in, she's gonna be taken care of. And what's crazy is that the economy that we're in right now, with people getting laid off left and right out of large industries, you think just quitting your job was the best thing to do after your husband had just quit to go out and start his entrepreneurial endeavors? You think you just quitting right after that, like, yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it too? You got women online right now crying their eyes out because they have been laid off and they have no job, no income. And you just doing it because you just privileged. You in a privileged position and you just say, I'm gonna just quit my job and I'm gonna leave more burden to my husband. This woman is selfish. And she did say that she came from a background, her parents, where her mom was very independent and she did whatever she wanted to do. But it's sad that a lot of guys have to get with these type of women and they have to carry that burden on. And it happens all the time. I would say this is probably 90% of marriages or situations where the man has to carry on the burden of what his girlfriend, fiance, wife was taught in her household. And now they're starting off already in a negative deficit because of the mentality. Your husband got a good mentality, for sure. And women wonder why they can't keep a lot of the guys that they bring into their life. Because that marriage could have went downhill. Imagine if they would have got a divorce after that. And you let a good guy go because you can't control your impulsion to just make decisions without letting him know. That's numero uno grounds for a divorce. Is you start making decisions outside of your partner's control. That's a problem. And her husband was literally, once she started making some money, he literally let her keep that money to spend it on whatever she wanted to spend it on. And then finally it clicked in her head and was like, this ain't right. I got my husband paying all these bills and I'm just pocketing all this money and I'm just blowing it. Like, it's really your husband's fault. It's your husband's fault. Your husband to blame. Because he set up those parameters. He set up those boundaries. Most men, we all want to make sure our woman is happy, can spend money. That's just what we want. We want our women to be happy. But in times of peril, and I will say I think a lot of people are in peril right now, it don't work like that. That's when the dictator got to come out. That's when the financial leader got to come out to really set things straight, to say that, hey, this ain't the right moves we need to be making. I got to get in control of all this money. You holler at me first before you make any rash decisions, anything just off of a whim. Holler at me first about it and we will talk about it and we will discuss it, but I will be making the final decision. But it's crazy how you have a lot of women walking around here like kids. And what's crazy, that the title of her video was that Beyonce told me to quit my job. So that's kind of wild that the title is Beyonce told me to quit my job. The woman's name is Dominique. I will link her page in the description. But yeah, man, a lot of women don't appreciate sometimes the situation that they're in, and they'll still crash out and act like big kids in the situation. Let me know what y'all think about this situation, y'all. Y'all like the video? Comment below. This is JayBReacts, and until next time, y'all. Peace.